the question that Shaunaka asked. Asmin bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. Knowing that one, how will I know? Everything. How will I know everything? Idam refers, the question has the word idam. Idam means everything. When you say idam, everything, what it actually means is the entire phenomena of known. The entire phenomena of known, how much ever you try to know it, something in it is always, you don't know. You can never know. Anything that you said, you can never know. The mind will want to know that only. For example, if there is a board here, see there is the wall. Nobody even looks into the wall. Supposing if there is a board here, wet paint, do not touch. What happens? Everybody's attention will go to the wall, and the few will try to touch also. And you go and ask them, it is said, no, don't touch. Why are you touching? No, just to check whether it is. The mind, the unknowable, the mind wants to know. Because in that knowing, it has a clarity. It assumes that it can get a clarity. What? I know. It's not just I know. I know everything. I know. It doesn't stop there. It has to be within brackets, something continues there. That's where the ignorance comes in. I know. What do you know? Something limited I know. If you say that, there is no problem. But then, when you say I know, what is implied in that I know? I know. I know everything. I know everything, or I can know everything. So Shaunaka tried that method. Every time he tried that method, he hit a dead end. He understood that the methodology that he is adopting is not the right method. Therefore, he comes to Shaunaka, therefore he comes to Angirasa and asks this question. The two Sanskrit words that Vedas use, Tat and Idam. These are all technical words. You need to, and if you are studying a subject, you must know the technical terms. You cannot not know the technical terms and understand the subject thoroughly. It's a principle of education. You have to know a subject. Every subject has a few technical terms, and those technical terms must be understood. For example, if you have to study accounting, you have to use the word credit and debit. You can't say input and output. You can't say inflow, outflow. In a general level, you can keep saying all that. But the technical person will still use the word debit and credit only. Why? Then only it can be a science. So a science means you need to know the technical terms. And the two technical terms that the Vedas use is Idam and Tat. Tat means Brahman, that. Idam means this, the entire creation. So Idam means the Jagat, the entire creation, including the Jiva. So Idam equals Jagat plus Jiva. Idam equals Jagat plus Jiva. Okay. Macrocosm and microcosm. Translated like that, it will be easy. Even though it is not the most appropriate way of doing it, but at least it will give you some fair idea of what it is. So, Jagat equals the Idam equals Jagat plus Jiva is one formula. Tat. Tat. That is Anirvachaniya, Paravidya. Calling it as indescribable, they will go on describing it. Having said it is indescribable, they should stay quiet. But then having said it as indescribable, they will go on and on and on trying to describe. Why? Because of two reasons. One is the very experience of Brahman creates a spontaneity. You will want to, helplessly it will keep coming. Second, that Brahma Ved becomes the teacher also. So even though it is Anirvachaniyam, they try to go on explaining it again and again and again, for the reason being, number one, the very experience, the words flow out. Second is, they also want to teach. Now, we take the second aspect. We see it as the teaching and we try to understand. From this standpoint, it's a spontaneous expression of what is happening. So, what is Idam? Knowing which I will know everything. It means he is asking for a knowledge. Correct? The question itself is an indication that he is asking for knowledge. Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita doesn't ask for knowledge directly. He is asking for direction. Okay. Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is not asking for knowledge. He is asking for direction. Direction as in what to do. And if somebody asks what to do, that's what we like to give a discourse. So Arjuna is not asking for knowledge directly. Indirectly, knowledge is given. But what he is asking is what to do. Here, Shaunaka is asking for knowledge directly. What is that knowledge? Sarvamidam Vijnatam Bhavati. For which he said the answer. Two types of knowledge. Both needs to be known. And mastering the one will lead you to the other. Paravidya and Apara Parajaiva Paracha. And then he went on to describe what is Apara. Tatra Apara. Rigvedo, Yajurvedo, Samavedo, Dharmaveda, all the list he gave. And then he went on to describe Paravidya. Agotram, Agreshyam, Agrahyam, Vibhum, Bhutayonim, all this he went on to describe. Up to this we have covered. Because the question that he is asking is, knowing that one, I will know everything. The question is asking about the very source of creation. Therefore, we will find in mantras 7, 8, 9, we will have a discussion about creation. And every Upanishad discusses about creation. All of us are interested in knowing the creation. But our interest in knowing the creation is limited to a specific problem that we go through. We go through a specific problem and we want to know the cause of it, the root of it. So, everybody is interested in knowing the creation, but it is limited to a very specific situation or a problem that we have. Therefore, we come and ask, why this is happening? What is the source of it? What is the cause of it? Upanishad takes his inquiry not in relation to an individual problem, because all the individual problems got sorted out already. That's why we say he is a Mahashalaha. All that he has done, he has gotten the intellectual clarity, he has the emotional maturity. Therefore, when the Upanishad talks about creation, they come from a different angle. Now, what I'll do, how the Vedas approach creation, I'll discuss that, then we'll quickly go through the mantras. So, first we will try to understand the Vedic approach towards creation. Now, there are fundamentally two approaches towards creation. One approach towards creation is you can't understand it, forget it. That is one approach towards creation. The Vedas, Upanishads don't take to this approach alone. They take to the other approach. What is the other approach they take? They try to explain the creation. Why do they do that? After the Rava Upma they gave, no? Rava Upma goes and sits inside. Yeah. All the manifest and unmanifest Tamo Guna will come into full manifestation. But then, topic is creation. Now, what do we do? Such an interesting study. Vedas, one approach towards creation is intellect cannot comprehend it, forget it. Don't even talk about it. The other approach the same Vedas take, the Upanishads take is temporarily keep that answer aside. Let us explore this question, because by exploring this question alone, you are able to penetrate deep into the source of the creation. By penetrating deep into the source of the creation, you develop a clarity. Number one. Number two. Second important reason for Vedas, Vedanta to talk about creation is we are not interested in finding out creation as the physicist wants to find out. As anybody else wants to find out about creation, Vedas, Upanishads don't approach the question of creation from that angle. Vedas' intention of dealing with creation is this. Remember, the Vedas' intention of dealing with creation is not to explain creation, but to say all that is here is Brahman. Again, Vedas' intention to talk about creation is not how the physicist will want to know, how the botanist will want to know. That's not the way we want to approach creation here. The very intention of dealing with creation, what we call as Srishti. The English word creation again has a problem. Therefore, I will shift to the Sanskrit, the Sanskrit meaning called Srishti. The word creation implies creator, created, etc. The word Srishti implies manifestation. The English word creation talks about this is the creation. Obviously, the word creation means there is the creator, used his intelligence and resources, created. So, whenever you see the created, whenever you see the creation, three things you will understand. What are the three things that you will understand? Technically, what we call as material cause, intelligent cause, instrumental cause. All these words are very important to know. Technically, it is called material cause, instrumental cause, and intelligent cause. for something to be created, the material is required. Raw material is required, then only creation happens. So, first thing that goes into creation is material cause. The material by itself doesn't go through any parinama, change. Therefore, a intelligent cause is required. Now, intelligent cause and material cause alone doesn't bring about creation. The intelligent cause needs some instruments. So, there is a material, there is an instrument, and then there is an intelligence. When all these three come together, you have something called creation. Vedas will not call it as creation. Vedas will call it as Srishti. Take the example that we have studied any number of times. The clay and the pot. Why we keep studying these examples, clay and the pot, gold and the ornaments? Because in Chandogya Upanishad, Tattvamasi was taught through these two examples of clay and pot and gold and ornaments. Therefore, what do? We keep repeating it again and again and again. Why can't you come up with your own original examples? Why do you have to keep repeating it? The Vedas itself is repetition. There is no new story that we can make up. The same thing will be repeated again and again and again. Therefore, we keep using the same examples, and also it's such a complete example, there is no need to. When there is a complete example that is communicating the message, why do you have to unnecessarily bring in something original? So, we continue the same example of the clay and the pot. Now, the pot is the created. Out of what the pot is made? Clay. There is the pot there. It's made up of clay. So, material cause for the pot is the clay. But clay doesn't become pot all by itself. Wherever there is clay, it doesn't convert itself into pot. Therefore, somebody, the potter, is the intelligent cause. The potter, the pot maker, is the intelligent cause. Found out this clay could be converted into a pot. He saw the clay. He understood that the clay could be converted into pot. Does immediately pot come? No. He has to have certain instruments. What is the instruments? The wheel, the stamba, the sunlight, the heat, all that he puts in together. Why he is called intelligent cause? Intelligent because he knew how to put things in order to get a useful product. Therefore, it is intelligence. We call it as intelligent cause. Intelligent cause because all things are put together. All things are put together rightly so that we have a thing called pot in hand. This is how creation happens. Very great. We have a problem if we bring in Brahman, God as the creator, we have certain difficulties. And all the difficulty that we have must have an answer. One answer is you cannot understand. That is only one of the answers. There are other answers also. And the other answers is very important for the Upanishad, because unless we have the maturity to see the Nama Rupa as Brahman, you can never identify yourself as Brahman. Again, if you are not able to identify with the world as Brahman, you can never say, I am Brahman. You don't say, I am Brahman. You always say, no, close it. It's too much of noise. You always say, I am Brahman, but people around me are Rakshasas. That is easy to say. I am Brahman, I am pure, I am good, sir. Correct. But people around me are all Rakshasas. The Upanishad wants to reverse it. First say, everything around you is Brahman. If everything around you is Brahman, you being part of it, who are you? I am also Brahman. That's how it works. Therefore, it is very important for us to understand how creation happened. The intention of Vedas, Vedanta talking about creation is to explain this. How everything here is Brahman. Not only everything is Brahman, second thing it wants to communicate is whatever we spoke as the material cause, intelligent cause, instrumental cause, all three are Brahman. Now these two gives you a conviction. These two will give you a conviction that whatsoever you see around is Brahman. Are you okay till now? But sir, I am not seeing Brahman. What you are seeing is Nama Rupa. It is Brahman. But what you are seeing is Nama Rupa, the name and the form. By looking at the name and the form, you give the name and form a intrinsic reality. The Upanishad wants to tell us the name and form has a dependent reality. They don't have an independent reality. Dependent reality means it is dependent on something else. When we say dependent on something else, by itself it has no locus. Again, locus is a very technical word. It has, how do you translate locus? It has no individual place to position itself, sustain itself. Not only it wants to convey that everything is Brahman, it wants to convey that what you are seeing is Nama Rupa. So, whenever you see Nama Rupa, what you are supposed to see? What you are supposed to see? Brahman in Nama Rupa. Brahman in Nama Rupa. The same thing in the language of Jnanam, in the language of intellect, we will say Brahman in Nama Rupa. In the language of Bhakti, we will say God is everything. God is everything. The bad things, yes, because it is another Nama Rupa. The good thing or the bad thing is a matter of perception. There is no per se something called good or bad. Being a matter of perception, what it says is, the Upanishad wants us to understand, first thing, whatsoever you see is Nama Rupa. And this Nama Rupa doesn't have an independent reality. This Nama Rupa came out of Brahman, exists as Brahman and will go back as Brahman. Therefore, all that you see is Brahman. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Mahavakya, Upanishad. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All that is here means past, present, future is only Brahman. In order to give you an intellectual clarity first, because whatsoever you are convinced is what you will follow. Again, Whatsoever you are convinced is what you will follow. You are so convinced that wealth is so important. What will you follow? Wealth. So whatsoever you are pursuing is where your conviction lies. Chapter 17. You are what your Shraddha is. Chapter 17. He says, you are what your Shraddha is. Meaning, if you want to pursue something consistently and not waver, you need a conviction. Conviction comes when you understand it as a necessity. Today, Brahman is not a necessity. Yeah. How do we say Brahman is not a necessity? How do we say Brahman is not a necessity? All of us have watch and we keep looking at the watch. All of us have watch and we keep looking at the watch. Indicating what? Indicating what? Indicating what? There are so many other things. I can't keep only talking Brahman, sir. There are so many other things also that needs to be attended to. In between, a few days I can dedicate for unless you are intellectually convinced that the entire creation is Brahman, you will never have the conviction to pursue Brahman. Follow? Why? All Upanishads gives a lot of importance to creation. A lot of theories about creation is given. A few examples is important to understand. The Upanishad is going to give its own examples. And those examples are only related to the Mundaka. Supposing next year if we come, you would have forgotten these examples. So what do? We will read the Mundaka examples also. Before we go into the Mundaka examples, we will get a clarity on how the creation itself happens. Does Brahman become the world like clay turning into pot or milk turning into butter? There are two types of changes. The one is the clay turning into pot. Another is the milk to butter. What is the difference? Till now we never asked. I was just talking non-stop. Creation is not bunch of questions. What is the difference between the two? Tell me. Correct. Pot can become the clay. Butter can never become milk again. Good. Anything else? Nice. Anything? They don't coexist. Which one? Milk and butter doesn't coexist. Clay and pot coexist. The fundamental difference is this. The material cause undergoes a change. The material cause will not undergo a change. Okay. In butter, not buttermilk. It's okay, you can still say buttermilk also. When milk turns into butter, the milk which is the material cause undergoes a change to become butter. When clay turns into pot, the material cause doesn't undergo a change. Now extrapolate. When Brahman becomes the world, does Brahman become the world like clay and pot or milk and butter? Upanishad says clay and pot. If you say that when you are angry at somebody, you are angry at, if you want to murder somebody, feel like you want to murder, does it make any sense now? No, sir, this is cheating. Yeah. Up to that point, it's okay. Now, if you convert it like that, then we get into actual. But Upanishad wants us to convert it like this and see. Then only Tatona Vijugupsate. Then only the hatred will go. Vijugupsa will go. Otherwise, it's like this. Human beings have this weird way of doing things. On the one side, we will talk about peace. On the other side, we will make preparations for war. Human beings are like that, no? On the one side, we will talk peace, 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 peace. On the other side, we want to make the other into peace, 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 peace. Sound alike. Both are, nobody knows what you are. I want peace. I want peace. I don't know how you even understand us. So the human being has a fundamental problem. What is the fundamental problem? As we do one thing, we go on creating the opposite. As we love somebody, we go on simultaneously creating the hatred. So human being has this problem. Why? Because the Nama Rupa is seen as, Nama Rupa is given a reality. Forget about becoming Brahman. In order to become Brahman, the reality that you have given to Nama Rupa should go. For the reality that you have given to Nama Rupa to go, you must understand Nama Rupa as Brahman. You have to understand. Technically, it is called Upadana Karana. Connect. How does it connect? He doesn't have any work, is it today? Sushmita, give him some work. No. So find out the class timings and give him work in that class timings. Irritate. When you see Nama Rupa, you see opposites. Nama Rupa is nothing but opposites. And when you see the opposite, mind has a unique way of dealing with the opposite. Mind will see the opposite and it has a unique way of dealing with the opposite. What is it? One it will want to accept and another it will want to reject. It's a very weird way in which the mind wants to deal with the opposite. Again. You got what I am saying? Too much of blabbering now, we don't know. The mind will see the opposite. The moment you see the opposite, what immediately one you will want and another you will reject. But the very fact that you want to reject the other, what happens in you? Some kind of a hatred. Because you don't want it. Now, take the example that I gave of love. I gave two examples. On one side, every country will talk about peace. Every government will talk about peace. All religions will talk about peace simultaneously. Simultaneously, we prepare for war also. The best way to have peace is what? The best way to have peace is what? The best way to have peace is burn all the armies. Then what will you fight with? You can't go and fight with hands, no. That's why in those days, the first level of fight always used to happen with hands. We will never fight with hand. We can never fight with hand. Why? You hit somebody with your bare hands. The pain that the other goes through is the same pain you will go through. You know that? That's why we always use something else to. Why do we use a stick to hit? Don't try that out. Huh? You will be in jail if you try all that. But you can comprehend. You follow what I am saying? So, we see one. We don't see it as one. We see it as a pair. When we say one, we don't see anything as one. Everything is seen as a pair. And when you see it as a pair, it is pairs of opposites. Polar opposites, it should say. As you are preparing to love somebody, simultaneously, what is the preparation going on? To hate. Whom? The same one. The same one that I love is the same one that I have to hate. Simple. The enemy of today should have necessarily been your friend yesterday. Who's your enemy of today? The enemy of today should have been your friend yesterday. Something was happening, that person is a friend. Now something happened, the friend turned into an enemy. Now, is he a friend or enemy? Both. Ashtavakra will come and say, neither. You are neither the baker or the dreamer. Are you the friend or an enemy? At one level, we will say both. Okay. When you say both, we know the level. Ashtavakra will come and say what? Therefore, in order to get over the emotional disturbances, which doesn't allow the intellect to penetrate. The emotional disturbances doesn't allow the intellect to penetrate. Why? The poem Pawn. Remember the poem Pawn? It's hijacked. Now, for the intellect to function, the mind has to be emotional turbulences should not be there. Now, the way to get over the emotional turbulence is what? Is not by saying, be calm, be calm, be calm. You can't say. It doesn't work. Therefore, what is the other way, the permanent way? If you can understand, the entire Nama Rupa is nothing but the one Brahman, the divine, Kadona Vijupasade, goes out. So, the Vedantic purpose of talking about creation is not to explain how the whole thing started. Big Bang. Before Big Bang was a small bang. Whatever was there. We don't talk about creation in the way that they want to talk about creation. We have a specific purpose of talking about creation. What is it? Number one, we want to see everything in creation as Brahman. The very fact that you see everything in creation as Brahman, hatred goes out. When hatred goes out, there is the calmness. In that calmness, the meaningful question the human being can ask, who am I? Comes. The meaningful question the human being can ask is, who am I? Who am I? Therefore, the Vedas have a lot of emphasis on the various theories about creation. And why do we say theory? we call it theory because there is a flaw in it. There can be a logical flaw. The logical flaw is because you compare unequally. When a example is trying to convey one thing, and when you compare it with other angles, it will appear as a flaw. Actually, there is no flaw. Actually, there is no flaw at all in the theory of creation if you know what is the point of comparison. Again, there is no flaw at all in the theories of creation if you actually know what are the points of comparison. If you take it outside the scope, then all explanations will have a flaw. For a flawless knowledge doesn't exist. A flawless knowledge doesn't exist. Just as dosha-less action doesn't exist. All actions has dosha, Arjuna. All actions has dosha in it, defect in it. Therefore, will you stop acting? The eye has a limited function. Not only it has a limited function, it can get faulty also. Not only it has a limited function and faulty, it has optical illusions, blind spots. If you analyze all these, logically what should you conclude? What should you conclude? Pluck the useless eyes. Can you do that? No. In spite of all the logical limitations, the eye can still be used for your growth. Are you able to follow? In spite of all the logical limitations, still it can be used. It means we need to know the method of how to use it rightly. So the theories of creation that Upanishad is going to talk about is to explain one thing. What? Everything is Brahman. First thing. How does God create the world? God creates the world by becoming the world. God doesn't create the world outside of him or her. We don't know. Him or her, we don't know. I know that I'm turning this side and talking. If I turn that side, she will have a problem. I don't know how we managed her in the class. Very difficult to know. God created the world by becoming the world. God didn't create the world something as a separate entity. Okay. If God created the world by becoming the world, who's the material? Who's the potter? God. Who's the instrument? That's our absurdity. This is the absurdity of the entire theory of creation. No, it's not the absurdity of the theory. It's the absurdity with the logic that you are using to understand this is absurd. So it's not the absurdity of the theory. The logic that we use has a limitation. Now that also needs to be explained, for which we talk about various types of theories. The first theory that Upanishad talks about is called Arambhavada. Arambhavada means world had a beginning. Srishti has a beginning. Remember, Arambha is different from manifestation. Arambha means it wasn't there at one point of time, it has come out now. World wasn't there at one point of time, I don't know, 5 billion years, 500 billion years, something happened and the world came out. This is called Arambhavada. This Arambhavada, Nyaya Vaisheshika systems of logic use this a lot. And in Vedanta, we and in Vedanta we dismiss that. All that we do, yesterday I spoke about sadhas, no? Yesterday I spoke about the conferences. All that we do in the sadhas is the Nyaya theory will be taken, the Vaiseshika theory will be taken, all the various theories will be taken and it will be analyzed. We will try to explore the validity of all. The one theory is called Arambhavada. Arambha theory implies an action. Because unless you perform an action, something cannot. For something to start, an action is required. Another theory is called Parinama. Vedanta little bit accepts Parinama. What is Parinama? Milk turning into a curd. Milk turning into curd is Parinama. Means the material cause undergoes a change in order to become an effect. There we discuss the limitations of all that and then we come to the third category, third level of the discussion. Arambhavada is a very elementary level of discussion. From Arambhavada we mature into Parinama. From Parinama we move into Vivarta. What we studied now, what we generally study is Vivarta. Vivarta, example, snake and rope. The rope and snake is an example of Vivarta type of creation. What is it? Superimposition. Superimposition. It is called superimposition. Superimposition means one thing is there upon which something gets superimposed. That we have studied a lot. That is called Vivarta. And then we go to the next level. Ajata. Jatavada. Ajata means the non-existence of Maya. Ajata means the non-existence of Maya. Mandukya and some other books, even a book like Ashtavakra Gita, takes it to the next level. What is the next level? This is how we keep answering all the questions. Mandukya and Ashtavakra Gita take it to the highest point. What is the highest point? Bondage is Bhranti. Bondage is Bhranti. Bhranti means illusion. You are bound is an illusion, correct? Ashtavakra will laugh at you. Gaudapada in the Mandukya will laugh at you because from the concept of bondage you have another illusion that is born. If bondage is an illusion, out of this illusion of bondage, another illusion is born which is moksha. This is Vedanta at its peak. இதுக்கு மேல ஒண்ணுமே கிடையாது. அதுக்கப்புறம் retreat is over. Above this there is nothing. So variable for how sequentially they explain it at one level and then they take it to the next level and then they take it to the next level. The final state. Prabhu. That's Ashtavakra. Gaudapada, Mandukya. That's why we say Mandukya is the most toughest Upanishad in comprehension is Mandukya, we say. Not Mundaka. Here we are studying Mundaka. That is Mandukya. Mandukya na frog. They are frog Upanishad. What names they have? I think some good names I could have kept. Frog Upanishad. Motta Upanishad. That's how each and every name is like that. No, what do we do? So some Upanishad, they are so lazy to even title it. Whatever the first word is, use that name only. They are so lazy even to title the book. What Upanishad? What does it start with? Isa, keep that. Isa Vasya Upanishad. Easy people, these people. Ashtavakra takes it to the highest point. What is the highest point that Ashtavakra takes? Gaudapada. Ashtavakra borrows it from Mandukya. Gaudapada. If bondage is Bhranti, illusion, moksha is Mahabhranti, height of delusion. That's why if somebody comes and says, I am liberated, we say, very good. We say, very good, Shanti, Shanti. Get Shanti now for a period, because you are in that Maha delusion. Why Maha delusion? Because the concept of freedom itself has to arise from the illusory notion of bondage. If bondage is illusory, logically, freedom is also illusory. Where will you go now? Where will you go? What will you do? You will follow? With all this background about creation, we will discuss the mantras. This understanding of creation is very, very important. With this background of what we discussed, if you look at the examples that he is giving, you will be able to get a grasp of what he is saying. Mantra 7. As the spider makes and withdraws its web, as on earth herbs grow, as from a living man hair grows on head and body, so from the imperishable the universe emerges here. How creation has emerged, manifested, not created, emerged. Out of the seed, the tree emerged. So, it is there in the potential form. Now it has come into expression, manifestation. Therefore, the world that we see is nothing but a manifestation. Manifestation of what? Brahman. And how did it happen? 3 examples it gives. And these 3 examples are so unique only to this Upanishad, and we will not discuss this at all in any other Upanishad. We will not discuss. The first example, Spider-Man. Brahman is Spider-Man. Spider. What is spider? You can see spider hanging sometimes in the middle of the room. You go near, and how is the spider hanging? The web. The web came from itself. The web came from itself. You go and just don't touch it and disturb it. Please say, it goes back. It doesn't climb it. It doesn't climb. What it does? It swallows. Similarly, the creation, just as the web comes out of the spider and it swallows, world comes out of Brahman, and Brahman it means what? We are all Madras Bhasha. Not the original, the Madras. There is in Madras language. I don't know how to translate. Beautiful word it is. Next to Sanskrit, the Madras Tamil is pure Tamil. It comes out and it It comes out of it, and it's similarly the world came out of Brahman, and it goes back. As long as you restrict it to this, it's a beautiful example. As long as you restrict only to that comparison. But then we don't have the clarity, we don't have that powerful intellect to stop there and not to pursue into the other. So, invariably, in the name of thinking, what we will do? In the name of thinking, we'll meander. And when we are meandering, we assume we are thinking. What is meandering? Taking the example out of scope and bringing all the unnecessary factors into it. In order to correct that, immediately the Upanishad itself gives the another example. What is that example? World has emerged from Brahman as plants have emerged from earth. Again, the same thing. Again, the same idea. The third example is like Da Purusha Keshalomani. When creation comes out of Brahman, nothing happens to Brahman. How do you understand that? When we go to a beauty parlor, we don't come out screaming and crying, isn't it? We don't, when you go to, what is it? Nail. Manicure, pedicure. You don't come out screaming and crying. Why? It is there in you. Even when it is cut, it doesn't cause any disturbance to you. Similarly, Brahman in its infinite potential, world comes out of Brahman like the hair come out of Brahman, the nail come out of Brahman, you clip it, cut it, nothing. What is this? What are these three examples and the creation? The first thing that we have to understand is this. We have seen cause and effect. We have seen this any number of times. The world is cause and effect. Is world the cause or an effect? In the world there is cause and effect. Carefully follow the two levels of thinking. In the world there is cause and effect. Is world the cause or effect? The Upanishad says the world itself is an effect. Is Nama Rupa the cause or an effect? Nama Rupa is an effect. The ear ring, the nose ring, the eyebrow ring. Nowadays we have eyebrow ring also, isn't it? Eyebrow ring. And then there is one thing called tongue ring. You put rings in the tongue also. What is the weight of the gold ring? 10 grams. Is the gold ring 10 grams or the gold is 10 grams? When you say the ring is 10 grams, are you referring to the weight of the gold or are you referring to the weight of the ring? What are you referring to as the weight? Gold only in the form of the ring. It means the value is because of the Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gives this example. He gives a beautiful example. He says, how does the wise one look at the creation? Like the thief sees everything as gold. The thief sees everything as To him, the value is not because of the earring, nose ring. To him, the value is because it is gold. Gold has gone through a parinama. Gold has gone through a parinama, the name and the form, but essentially it is gold only. This we need to understand. It means what? Is the world the cause or an effect? Please understand, I am not asking in the world there is cause and effect. Creation is not discussing in the world. Creation is discussing about the world. So when you have to talk about the world, would you talk about it as cause or effect? It is effect. If it is effect, then what is the cause? What is the cause? Brahman is the cause. How do you understand that? Some example has to be given. The first example is spider. Spider is equal to Brahman because spider is both the intelligent cause and the material cause. Spider is both the intelligent cause and the material cause for the web. Correct? The web came out of spider. Therefore, the material cause is spider. Intelligent cause. Is there anybody else? Is it? No. So, the intelligent cause and the material cause is spider. How the Guru could even connect these two? How he saw simple millions of spider hanging all over? How he could even connect it and give it as an example? Are you able to follow? It is the intelligent cause as well as the material cause. In the world, carefully follow now. In the world, intelligent cause and material cause will be different. Just as the pot, the potter and the clay, all three will be different in the world. When we talk about the very creation, all three becomes. Now we have established two things using spider. Because in creation itself, God has given us this example. Thanks to Brahman created spider. We are able to understand how Brahman is the intelligent cause and material cause. One more thing that is left. What is that? Instrument. What is that instrument? That we will add up here. Even though Mundaka doesn't talk about that a lot, we will add that also for us to get a complete picture. What is that instrument? We say instrument is also Brahman. What is that? That is called Maya. Maya is the instrumental cause. And where is Maya located? It has to be in Brahman only. But sir, I can't see it. Obviously, you can't see it. No, I can't understand it. Obviously, you can't understand it. Then what do? We go by the Pramanam. That's why we say Veda is a separate authoritative source of knowledge. But still, it makes a lot of, if you remember in the introduction, we said it is reason supported. All the conclusions that we come in the Vedas, the Vedanta, as the support of the reason. Intelligent cause is concluded, material cause is concluded, but then why he brings in the other example of Purusha, human, world, plants and vegetation, the earth and vegetation. First one is spider, the second one is the earth and vegetation. vegetation is the earth seems to be inert. The earth seems to be inert. Out of that inert thing, something comes out, which is the plant has life nu solrom, earth has jadam, matter. Out of matter, life comes. No. It's not out of matter, life comes. It is a manifestation. Under certain conducive environment, it manifests. So, for the plant to emerge, the conducive environment that is required is what? The soil. What is the conducive environment for the world emerge out of Brahman? What is the conducive environment? Non-apprehension. Maya. That's what we call it as Maya. That Maya expresses itself as Namarupa. Misapprehension. Then the third example. What is the third example? Universe has emerged from Brahman like air from a. It means the inertness of the plant can be the inertness of the plant can be the inertness of the earth can be attributed to out of inert comes. No, reverse it. Out of life, something inert can come. Out of life, something inert can come, like hair and nail. Supposing if hair has life, you will come out screaming from a beauty parlor. Even if you shave, also nothing happens. Yeah, if it is pulled, you have a problem. Then it's not. It means what? You cut it, nothing happens. You keep the nail, nothing happens. Therefore, another thing that this creation is talking about is what? Can matter inert produce something which is life? One of the very big discussions which I am just mentioning in passing is there is a very big debate. Is consciousness an epiphenomenon or innate? On perception, it looks like epiphenomenon. Epiphenomenon means matter can produce something which is inert can produce life. How can inert produce life? No. It is not manifest. Inert cannot produce life. It is not manifest. Now it is manifest. Therefore, these theories handle a few questions about creation. What are the few things about creation? Number one angle of creation that we have a problem is, what is the subject matter called consciousness? Kenopanishad deals with it. Kenechidam padati pechidramanaha, etc. Now, what Kenopanishad dealt with as consciousness, Mundaka deals with it as Paravidya. In order to explain that, it gives some theories of creation. Now, 3 examples he gives. The spider, the earth and air. He doesn't stop here. 8 and 9, he gives another theory. Mantras 8 and mantra 9, he gives another theory. Mantra 8. One second. Yes. The limitation, yes, the connect is this. Every example has a limitation. What is the limitation of spider? Spider has a motive to create the web. Does God have any motive? Intention? Intentionless creation is incomprehensible. Intentionless creation cannot be comprehended. In that sense, it is anirvachaniya. Very well follow. A potter has a utility to create the pot. Correct? The potter has a utility. He needs pot. Therefore, he creates it. Now, if we continue the same example, obviously we will conclude that Brahman has a utility to create the world. Now, it has no Brahman has no intention to create the world, nor Brahman serves any utility by creating the world. Then how does world happen? Then how does creation happen? Swabhava. Brahman. The Swabhava of Brahman. Wherever there is vastness, there will be a wave. Remember that example? Wherever there is vastness, wherever there is a vast sheet of water, what is the Swabhava of the vast sheet of water? Similarly, the vastness of Brahman creates the world without any motive. So spider has a motive, but the plant, the earth to yield vegetation, it has no motive. Are you okay? But then another problem is what? Inert earth produces live plant. It means Brahman is inert. The world is alive. No. Reverse it. Brahman is like the human. World is Brahman is the hair and the nail. Even though carefully follow, even though it looks like it is inert, actually the hair and the nail is not inert because it keeps growing. Okay. It means the spontaneity of creation, the circular nature of creation, till wisdom happens. These are the three things that this example wants to. Is it okay? Wait. Yes. Asanas of Brahman. Yeah, asanas. Yeah, okay. I got scared. I know I will blabber, but not to that extent of blabbering. Yes. Padingo. Mantra 8. It's not your fault. Accept. I know person. Okay. Mantras 8 and 9 combined creates another theory. Creates another theory. Please understand, whenever we use the word theory in Vedanta, not in the sense of speculation. It's not a speculation. It has a limited application. Guru Vartik unique meaning we have here. Theory not in the sense of speculation. Theory in the sense of a limited application. So what is 8 and 9 combined? Through tapas, effort, Brahman swells. From that arises food. From food, prana, vital air, mind, great elements, worlds, and endless actions. Mantra 9. From him who is omniscient, all-knowing, whose tapas is all knowledge, emanates this Brahma, name, form, and food. Another theory. The Upanishadic language is so difficult to decode. At least this is easy. When we go to the next part, list of the Apara Vidya that is going to give in terms of the Yajna and the different 7 types of colors of flame, all that we will read through. We will not elaborate any of it. We simply read through. So difficult to explain this? It's not difficult. When I say so difficult means because we lost this lifestyle and vocabulary, it is difficult to understand. Because we have lost this lifestyle and vocabulary, Upanishad, what the Upanishad gives as an example is difficult to comprehend. Not that we cannot comprehend. Therefore, what we need to do modern examples. And when we come up with modern examples, it falls a bit, it falls flat. It falls a bit flat. Why? Because it does not yet stood the scrutiny. All these examples here have stood the scrutiny of thousands of years by giant intellects. Remember that. We don't memorize and repeat, we scrutinize. So all these examples, the mantras were all being scrutinized for thousands and thousands of years by the giant intellects, and it has been come. Now in the modern day thing, we don't have that kind of a luxury where it has been scrutinized that depth. It's not one generation alone cannot develop depth. You need generations to develop depth in any subject. Even in a materialistic science, one generation cannot create depth. Multiple generations is required to go into the depth. Similarly, the same idea. Now what is it that he is saying here? Through tapas, Brahman swells. From that arises food. From food, prana, mind, great elements, worlds, and endless actions. Now what the example that he is giving is, remember, it's a society that is so used to agriculture, the plant. So he takes that as an example. What is that example? Between the seed condition and the tree condition, there are stages. The seed is one condition, the full-fledged tree is another condition. Now from the seed condition to the full-fledged tree condition, there are stages. How does it happen first? It swells. How does it swell? The seed drinks water and it swells. Swelling is the first indicator of the parinam. So it swells, as it were. Out of swelling, the seed opens up and the sapling comes. And that sapling rattles and comes out of the earth. What amount of effort it has to put to come out of the earth, and just to survive and then it grows and grows and grows, becomes the tree. Using that simile, he talks about creation happens in stages. What is it that is happening in stages? First, arises food. First thing that we need is 3 classes are in a day, too much. Breakfast, lunch, dinner will be there, no? It means what? Knowledge and all is not that much required for survival. What is required for survival? Tea, coffee will be there, no? Lot of difficulty, they agreed to give tea. So without coffee, I'm having headache in the morning. I can't. I have to bring filter coffee, tea. I don't know what all we have to bring to teach. When you look at all this, we feel like not doing anything at all and say, Rama, do whatever you feel like doing. So what he sees is what's happening in creation and he is just extrapolating. That's all. So what happens? Annam. Then pranas become vital. Where there is food, the pranas become vital. Again, the human anatomy of concentric circles. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha. Remember that another concentric circle that we talk about, the 5 koshas, annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, anandamaya, all that. Mind. That is as far as the microcosm is concerned. What happens in the macrocosm? The great elements. The great elements means the 5 elements. Space, air. From that, lokaha, worlds. Worlds are created by endless actions. So the endless actions that the prani does creates endless worlds. So the worlds are created by your endless actions. Going on, doing good karma, you will create heaven. Going on, doing bad karma. Good and bad karma combined. Mishram. That is very confusing. This example I can. What is this endless action, Mishram? The Acharya gave that example long back. What is Mishram? If you do good karma, bad karma combined, Mishram. He gave a beautiful example. He said, you will be born as a dog in a rich man's house. You will be born as a dog in a rich man's house. Example. Imagine the heat, the Chennai heat. Pondicherry can get more hotter. Huh? Chennai seems to be better compared to. That's why we will not come here in April, May, June, July and all. We will not come. Even though we want to do the retreat in June, we will not come at all because we'll be cooked by now. So in that hot summer afternoon day, the man is traveling in the crowded bus. Can you imagine that scene? Crowded bus. Vijigupsa, isn't it? Kind of Vijigupsa it is. And by chance, he got a window seat. Somebody got up at one stop, he got a window seat and he went and sat. And he looked out. He looked out of the window. When he looked out of the window, a BMW was overtaking the bus. As the BMW was overtaking the bus, the windows came down and one head popped out. What is that head? Daisy. Correct? Daisy, no? Yeah? Daisy. Daisy popped out. What will that man think looking at the daisy? What will that man think? I wish I was a dog in that BMW than being in the Mishram. Mishra karma will produce that kind of a loka. So the Upanishad says, endless actions will create endless lokaha. Karmasu, that karma creates loka. What kind of karma? You can have a good karma, you can have a bad karma, and you can have a mixed karma. Mixed karma is what is called Mishram. Mishram means endless actions. From him who is omniscient, mantra 9. From him who is omniscient, all-knowing, whose tapas is all knowledge. Here tapas is transferred effect. Brahman doesn't do any tapas. What it means is all creation is an action and action implies effort. Again, creation implies action and action implies effort. Therefore, here he says all knowledge. Why it is all knowledge? Intelligent cause. Because he knows how to put everything together and bring about a beautiful creation. In that sense, it is all knowledge emanates this. What? Brahma. Who's Brahma? Now you should not ask who's Brahma because we have already studied. Brahma, the creator, gave this knowledge to other one gave it to all the parampara. Brahma, Rupam, Annam, Chachayate, Nama Rupa. That's why we go on repeating this word Nama Rupa, Nama Rupa. No? Where did we get this word Nama Rupa? Mundakopanishad. Satyameva Jayate, the government of India slogan. Where do we get it from? Mundakopanishad. Uttishtada, Jagrata, Paranniva Bodhata. Ramakrishna Mission. Lakshana Vakya, motto statement. Where he got it from? Kathopanishad. So all that we have here is borrowed from Nama Rupa, Nama Rupa. And this Nama Rupa sustained by what? Nama Rupa sustained by Annam. This way the Taittiriya Upanishad says, Annancha Brahma, Ahamcha Brahma, Bhoktacha Brahma. The food is Brahman, the eater is Brahman, the eaten is Brahman. What comes out of after you eating is also Brahman, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagnav, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivadena Gandhavyam, Brahmakarma, Samadhina. Everything here is Brahman, Brahman, Brahman. And you cannot escape Brahman. Just as the effect cannot escape the cause. This is the law. The effect can never escape the cause. Meaning, the pot can take a break from the potter. The pot can take a break from the potter. The pot can take a break from the instrument also. But the pot can never tell the clay, leave me alone for a while. Can it? The pot can never tell the clay, leave me alone for a while. I want freedom from you. Similarly, we can never tell God, leave me alone. God will not leave us alone. Why He will not leave us alone? Because you are that much, where will He go? Poor God. He doesn't have any independent place to. Why He is locked up? Rupamannancha Jayate. With this, we conclude and we meet at 11:30 for the next session.